What if the woman who built her entire career writing about love suddenly stopped believing in it? What if the one person who could put her broken pieces back together was the last man on earth she ever expected to fall for? A grumpy, gorgeous novelist living right next door. Welcome back to the channel, Cozy Romance Lovers. Today we are diving deep into one of the most beloved, most talked about romance novels of the past 5 years. I'm talking about Beach Read by Emily Henry. And if you haven't read this book yet, you are in for the most emotional, witty, heartwarming treat of your life. Grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's talk about January Andrews and Augustus Everett. Picture this: a small, sun-drenched lakeside town in North Bear Shores, Michigan. It's summer. The air smells like cut grass and lake water. There are charming little houses tucked along the shoreline. The kind of town where everyone knows everyone, where local book clubs meet in living rooms, and where the pace of life slows down just enough for you to hear your own heartbeat. This is the world Emily Henry drops us into at the very beginning of Beach Read, and from the first page, you feel the warmth of it wrapping around you like a blanket. But here's the thing. This isn't just a sunny, carefree story. Underneath all that beauty, there's a woman who is quietly falling apart. Her name is January Andrews, and she is a best-selling romance novelist who has built her entire life around the belief that love is real, beautiful, and worth fighting for. She writes happy endings for a living. She believes in happy endings, or at least she used to. January's world gets turned completely upside down when her father passes away, and at her father's funeral, she meets a woman named Sonia. And Sonia is not just any woman. Sonia is her father's secret mistress, the woman he had been having an affair with, apparently for years, in a beautiful secret lake house her father owned and never told anyone about. The house where January has just been given the key and the deed. So here is January, grieving the loss of her dad, while simultaneously grappling with the devastating realization that the man she admired most in the world, the man whose love for her mother she always thought was the gold standard of romance, had been living a double life. Her belief in love, the very foundation of her career, has been shattered. And her ex-boyfriend Jacques, unable to handle her emotional spiral, broke up with her. She is now broke, semi-homeless, heartbroken, and completely incapable of writing even a single sentence of the romance novel she owes her publisher. So she does what makes the most sense in the circumstances. She moves into her dead father's secret lake house to write. And that is where things get truly interesting. Because living in the house right next door is Augustus Gus Everett. Now, if January is sunshine and happily ever afters, Gus is thunderstorms and tragic endings. He is a critically acclaimed literary fiction author, the kind of writer who writes deeply serious, emotionally devastating books where everyone dies or loses everything or learns some brutal truth about the human condition. He is tall, dark, brooding, and annoyingly good-looking. And January knows exactly who he is, because they were rivals back in college. He once mocked her writing in a workshop. She vividly remembers the sting of it, and the fact that she also had a massive crush on him at the time has made exactly zero things simpler. Their reunion is wonderfully awkward. There's tension, sarcasm, mutual wariness, and underneath all of it, this undeniable pull that neither of them wants to acknowledge. The central premise of Beach Read is absolutely genius in its simplicity. Gus and January make a bet. For the entire summer, January will try to write a serious piece of literary fiction, stepping completely outside her comfort zone, while Gus will attempt to write something happy, something with a happy ending. The writer who succeeds gets to force the other to read an entire book in their genre. What sounds like a fun writing challenge quickly becomes something much more profound. Because, in order to write in each other's genres, they have to understand how each other sees the world. January has to sit with darkness, grief, and moral complexity. Gus has to sit with hope, vulnerability, and the terrifying idea that maybe love is worth believing in after all. And they can only do this together. They go on research trips. Gus takes January to interview a woman whose sister was in a cult. A chilling, emotionally heavy afternoon that forces January to look at the darkest corners of human psychology. January takes Gus to a carnival, because carnivals, she insists, are where people fall in love. It's where her parents first met. This detail alone will break your heart a little. They go to local book clubs. They eat bad food. They fight. They laugh. They share secrets they have never told another living person. Gus opens up about his childhood, his abusive father, his mother who stayed despite it all, and how that is what drew him to writing about cults and why people remain in situations that hurt them. January opens up about her father's betrayal and how it has stripped the narrative she has always told herself about love and security and family. In each other, they find someone who truly gets it, who understands grief, who understands the complicated relationship between the stories we tell and the truths we live. The romance between January and Gus builds slowly, beautifully, with the kind of tension that makes you want to hold your breath. Emily Henry is a master of the slow burn. Every conversation feels weighted with something unsaid. Every moment of physical proximity feels electric. And when things finally start to shift between them, when the rivalry melts into something tender and real, it is deeply, genuinely earned. But this book is not just a love story. At its heart, Beach Read is about grief, about the terrifying process of dismantling the stories you have told yourself about love and family and security, and finding the courage to build new ones. January has to make peace with who her father really was, not the perfect romantic hero she had cast him as, but a real, flawed, complicated human being who loved her imperfectly. And Gus has to allow himself to believe that hope is not naivety, that writing a happy ending does not make you foolish. There is a scene near the end of this book. I cannot say too much without spoiling it, but there is a moment of such unexpected, devastating tenderness that will absolutely bring you to tears. Emily Henry's writing in those pages is some of the most beautiful work I have ever read in contemporary romance. The way January and Gus talk to each other, the way they finally see each other fully, it is breathtaking. And then there is the ending. The book within the book twist, the way both of them fail the bet in the most perfect way possible. The dedication Gus puts in his novel. If you know, you know. If you don't know yet, you are in for one of the greatest fictional gut punches of your reading life. Why you must read this book. Beach Read is the perfect book for anyone who has ever loved someone and been let down, for anyone who has ever felt like they were the person who believed in love more than love deserved, for anyone who has ever sat with grief that was complicated by something else. Anger, confusion, the feeling that the ground beneath you has shifted and you are not sure where to stand anymore. This book will make you laugh out loud. Emily Henry's wit is razor sharp, and it will also make you ugly cry in the best possible way. It is the rare romance novel that takes the genre itself seriously. What does it actually mean to believe in love? Is it naivety or is it courage? By the time you turn the last page, you will have a very clear answer. Whether you are new to Emily Henry or a longtime fan, Beach Read is an absolute must-read. It is funny, tender, emotionally complex, beautifully written, and deeply, deeply satisfying. This is the kind of book you will want to press into the hands of every person you love. You can find Beach Read by Emily Henry on Amazon using the affiliate link in the description below. It is the perfect cozy read to curl up with this week, and trust me, once you start, you will not be able to put it down. If you want the audiobook, the narration by Julia Whelan is absolutely phenomenal. One of the best audiobook experiences I have ever had. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you team enemies to lovers or team slow burn? Because this book is both, and it is everything.